Welcome to part 3. This section will be discussing networking, pressure and stress. We'll discuss conflict in the workplace. In addition, to become more effective in your job search. And finally, we'll be discussing resumes. At the end of part 3, we will have a question and answer session. And in addition, I want to let you know that I am offering on a limited resume review on a limited basis, resume reviews and interview practice if you have an upcoming interview. It's going to be on a first serve, first come basis. Let's talk about a very small question, about 7 words. Yet I deem it an interview question designed to destroy you. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? I want you to realize the company is looking for what you could do for them, not what they could do for you as far as offering free education, advancement possibilities, increased salary. At this question, you're asked, will you become of value to this company? So my recommendation is to think of it as a you answer, not a me answer. It's everything for the company. So it goes something like this. My goal is to learn everything there is to learn about this position. I've always been a bottom line contributor to the companies I've worked for. I intend to be the same for this one. I want to be known as a corporate asset. For those of you interested in promotional opportunities, make the statement. Depending on the company's promotional program, I could see myself in a senior position in a period of time, or perhaps if there's a management position available, I would like to be considered for that also. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Everything is for the company. What have you done to become more effective in your job? You're not getting up in the morning at 7 and leaving your job at 5 and expect to become more effective that way. You should have an answer to this question that includes, you look to mentor others, you read books pertinent to your background, subject matter, you attend professional meetings, you attend professional commentaries, you take courses, you look for certifications, you look at webinars. You cannot stand still and be a workaholic just for the company without them wanting to see what else you're doing for yourself to become more effective. Another question is, what motivates you? When I began my world of employment maybe 400 years ago, I decided that the answer to this question is what actually thrills me and motivates me, and that is money. Unfortunately, today that's not the answer they want to hear. My suggestion to you, what motivates you is challenge, problem solving, promotion, finishing a project on time and under budget. These are great motivators. And on occasion, a pat on the back wouldn't be so bad either. The next section I want to discuss is networking. There's 3 numbers I'd like you to know. Put down 5, 20, and 90. 5% of the jobs found in this country are found through the big boards such as Indeed and ZipRecruiter or company websites. This is not to say to you, don't use them. This is to say to you that it's a minuscule part of finding a job, and yet, particularly people who are first out of work, the first 90 days, the first 60 days, what they tend to do is bang out as many resumes as rapidly as they can to either company websites or the big boards such as Monster and Zoom and Indeed. Leave 20 minutes a day for searching Indeed or company website. The rest of the time, that's the balance of how you search for a job, is the next number, 20%. 20% of jobs found in this country are found through recruiters. Yes, I know the stories. They don't return your emails. They don't respond to your telephone call. They don't call you back. They don't even know what you do, even though they have their resume in front of them. And some even want you to commute to Michigan every day. I know all these stories, but I'm going to point out one more time. 1 out of 5 jobs in this country are found through recruiters, either full-time, temp to perm, temp positions, contract positions. They're in the hands of recruiters. My suggestion to you is find recruiters through your contacts, friends, neighbors, relatives, people you work with, coworkers, managers, HR departments from previous companies you work for. Ask them, who did they use as a recruiting firm? This type of information is only the beginning. If you're not satisfied with the list you have, and you should be at least registered with a minimum of 3 recruiters at all times, meaning when a recruiting firm is not working with you by calling you on a regular basis, letting you know what's going on as far as new opportunities, you're calling them, they're not calling you back, and so forth, that recruiter falls off their list and you put a 3rd one back. My recommendation is to put down the title of your position and then recruiting firms, Greater Philadelphia area, and see what comes up. There may be a dozen, let's say 14, for example, that come up. Out of that 14, you may know 2 or 3. The balance you're not familiar with. Maybe some of them will be recruiting firms that were already named to you by the other people I mentioned to you before. However, there may be some recruiting firms there that are from out of town. New York, New Jersey, Wyoming, it doesn't matter. If they're in that list, that means they're working the Greater Philadelphia area and they're working your background, which means to me, I would contact them, speak to them, talk to the person who's handling your background from whatever state they're in or from whatever place they are. Let them know who you are, what you can do, ask them if they'd like to see your resume, ask them if they have anything currently that's a match for your background. And finally, I would recommend saying the following to any recruiter you speak to. If you make a presentation to me and either it's off, not a perfect match for myself or one that I'm not interested in, I'm not going to leave you hanging to the best of my ability. I will then contact my network to see if I could find some people out there that might be a match for that position. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way conversation. Make a friend. It's a great way of doing it. Finally, the last number, which is 96 years ago when I first came to the Philadelphia area, it was 70. 90% of jobs found in this country are found through networking. Networking. Pre-COVID, I used to say networking is very simple. Get out of the house, away from the computer. Get out of the library, away from the computer. Get out there, meet people, shake their hands, and start a conversation. That was networking in the old days. The new days is Zoom networking, attending professional associations, Chamber of Commerce meetings by Zoom, getting yourself known in the community, getting yourself known in the professional associations, and educate yourself at the same time when they have speakers that will be of value to you for your future positions. I recommend, it's imperative that you put together 15 to 20 target companies and have a networking one-pager set up for yourself. A networking one-pager is a sheet of paper that's not a resume, that talks about your background, your skills, your achievements, your accomplishments, your education, without dates. It is not a resume. It's a sheet that describes your greatest strengths and your background to the person you're leaving or giving it to. For those of you who are not aware of how to do that, 2 ways of doing it. Go to meetup.com. Under the menu, you will see a networking one-page sampler. For others who want to expand it even further, simply Google a networking one-pager for a networking one-page background sheet, and you will find different methods and ways of putting it together. That sheet not only should contain your strengths and abilities and accomplishments, it also should have your list of 15 to 20 target companies. This is a leave behind, a non-threatening leave behind that may pay back to you in the long run. You know, at these networking meetings, there's a tremendous number of people generally coming in for the same reason you are. They're in transition. At the same time, when jobs come up that they see that don't match themselves, they could be of great value to you as far as passing along that information to you based upon the fact they have your networking one-pager. In addition, let's get back to the 15 to 20 target companies. These companies come from companies you know, from your company's competitors, from people you know who are working at different companies. It also comes from research using, as an example, the Book of Lists. The Philadelphia Business Journal puts this out every year. It's available in your library free. It's called the Book of Lists. Companies in the greater Philadelphia area are broken down into various categories, from insurance to banking. And you have some specialized lists. As an example, you'll see in there the soaring 76, the 76 fastest growing companies in greater Philadelphia area. In the Book of Lists, you'll see the company's name, their website, phone number, address, the amount of monies they earned last year. They'll have something about what they do. In addition, they'll have a C-level, usually a CFO, CEO, COO person's name in the Book of Lists. Keep that name in mind, because that may be a name that, if you research the company and unable to come up with anyone else, that may be a name that you want to send your resume directly to and ask for a meeting with that person, or for them to refer you to the person who's handling the position that you're applying for. Book of Lists is a valuable resource. Another section of the book is the employers voted best by employees. There's about 100 of them. And if that isn't a great reason to work for a company, either that they're fastest growing companies in the greater Philadelphia area, or employees themselves have voted for this company as being on this list. Great place to work for companies that the employees love to work at. Check them out, check their website, see if they have any openings for your background. Network your way into the company. Check the company out on LinkedIn, on all the various other research methods that you have. Not only their website, but on YouTube, Facebook, and so forth. Check them out. Get yourself into that company. Well worth your time. In addition, there's a book in the library called Reference USA. For those of you who need help with that book, the reference librarian will help you work with it. It's a golden book when it comes to searching companies by zip code, for example. If you want to look for a company within 25 miles of where you live, if you put your zip code in there, the type of company that you're looking for, they have a code for insurance, for banking, for finance, for everything is a code. And all of a sudden, you'll see, as an example, 16 manufacturing companies in your locality. You'll see 12 companies, insurance agencies within 15 minutes or 15 miles of where you live. It's a good book to get involved in for finding new companies to explore. Today's day and age, especially because of COVID, everyone operates under a different type of pressure. Being home with the children, being home without the children, and the dog, it doesn't matter. You're not doing what you're used to doing before COVID. So pressure and stress is a factor in the job, whether it's COVID or non-COVID. So let's be prepared to talk about how do you handle pressure or stress. And I would start off with saying that stress and pressure is a natural part of life. And I feel equipped to handle the callings of a job, whether there's pressure or stress more or less. For example, what I do is prioritize my day. I prepare a super detailed to-do list by planning in advance. I constantly recheck my plan. I discuss it with my management and my team members. If I still have this pressure when I get home, I take it to the gym. I like to practice yoga, whatever relaxes you. Be prepared to talk about how you handle pressure/stress in the workplace. If people who know you were asked, why should you be hired? What would they say? This is a brain freeze question with no doubt in my mind. You should be prepared to answer this question in the following way. They would say, I'm dependable, honest. They call me a problem solver. I know how to take a critique well. I'm very profit-oriented. I'm a good listener. It's a good question to put into your toolbox to remember the response to it. Tell me about a time when you had conflict at work. How did you handle it? Well, listen, I told you there's a little Brooklyn in me, and occasionally I have to take the person out to the parking lot. But I don't want you to do that. Things have changed as years gone by. What I suggest is to respond by saying, first, I listen to the person who is in conflict with me or the job. I want to know about their thoughts. I want to see if we could come to a compromise. And should there be no resolution after this discussion, I would bring it to a manager. And that's how you handle conflict. What was the best idea you came up with at your last job? Wow, that's a tough one. That's one you have to have in your toolbox once again, at least 3 or 4 ideas that correspond, in my opinion, to the position that you're applying for. I want you to tell a story and demonstrate the ability to come up with this idea because your manager said, what are we going to do about this or that? Show your technical skills, your grasp of the job, the role you played and the role you're going to be playing in the new company. Show your interest, your industry knowledge, and talk about when you came up with this idea, the recognition you received from the other company. My last subject is resumes. I do resume reviews, and I want to share with you what I look for. If you have on your resume asterisks, stars, slashes, check marks, dashes, instead of bullets, I have to change that immediately because the automatic tracking system does not accept that. Your resume should start off with your name and the title of the position that you're applying for. This is what I look for. Your contact information, including your LinkedIn address under it. And the next section should be a headline about your greatest skills that meet the position beyond your title that's noted in the keywords of the resume. And under that, I would put professional summary. Professional summary is an action statement. 5 to 7 lines on how your background matches, your work background matches the position you're applying for. For more exact information on a professional summary, I'm recommending that you Google how to write a professional summary and put in the word job scan. It'll come immediately, your first link will come to the article on this subject that will also give you an illustration of what those 5 to 7 lines should look like. The next section, in my opinion, should be core competencies in bullet form, in columns, in alphabetical order that match the job requirements. Now, if you look back at what I'm asking you to do, it should take up a little more than 1/3 of the first page. Indeed.com did a survey on the people who review resumes 7 or 8 years ago and asked them, how long does it take you to read a resume? And the answer was an average to 6 to 20 seconds. Now, without being a genius, I can say to you, the first third to the first page, the first third of the first half, the first third to the first half of the first page is of great value to you. It's very expensive real estate. In order for you to take advantage of that real estate, make sure you have what I've discussed with you already. Do not put in your resume references available upon request. Please use jobscan.co to make sure that you are using a word cloud generator. That's one of the best. Also, wordart.com, another word cloud generator. Do not try to get past an automatic tracking system without having help from those 2 work cloud generators. With that being said, I'm coming to the conclusion of part 3, and I'm opening up in a moment a period of time for questions and answers. I want to bring to your attention a couple things. In the world of interviewing, there's nothing like having sharp, impromptu speaking skills and your communication skills at a very high level. Being a member of Toastmasters International for many years, I'm recommending joining Toastmasters International and checking them out. If you go to toastmasters.org, look for a club nearest you. I always recommend going to 2 or 3 clubs, at least 2 or 3 times each. Then if you're warm and fuzzy with one club, I recommend that you join them. It's a very worthwhile $50 every 6 months investment for you to improve your communication skills and your impromptu speaking skills. If you want to see a great example of a Toastmaster meeting from the convenience of your home, I'm inviting you to email me and request a Zoom invitation to Cerna Toastmasters. We meet every Wednesday from 11:50 to 1 o'clock. The meeting will be over exactly at 1 o'clock. I can assure you of a few things if you attend that meeting for a little bit more than an hour. First of all, you'll find it challenging, it'll be educational, and it'll be fun. What more could you ask for the price of approximately $1 a week? I highly recommend it. If you're available, check us out any Wednesday that you could come. I'll be glad to have that invitation sent to you. And now we will continue with the rest of the meeting.